life. All right, Shalom, Israel.
Shalom.
We're the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, New York, under commanding Gen.YAHANNA. I'm Priest Officer Khan. This is Priest Officer.
Shalom.
All right, and today we are about to conduct today's Sabbath service. All right. Sir? Sir?
Shalom to Israel.
We say margin, pony up or down, between the right and face the east. Sir?
We're going to say the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemaya, Hadash, Ayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Lakwaka, Aba'a, Atazaka, Ayah, Aisha, Arataza, Kawa, Ayah, Shemaya, Natan, Nanawa, Akam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalakno, Awakno, Wasalakno, Awakino, Wala, Tabianoa, Basawan, Abal, Oshino, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Malakwa, Wa'ala, Watapara, Alomio, Aman.
We say here now in English, it's our Father,
God in heaven,
hallowed be thy name,
Yahweh,
thy kingdom come,
thy will be done,
thy will be done,
in earth,
as it is in heaven,
give
us this day,
us this day,
our daily bread,
bread,
forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our
as
debts,
we forgive
our debtors,
and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
We're going to say the half on the power. Yahweh, Hashem, Oshai, Abakashah, Atanawa, Akat, Abba, Amakala, Akamalawan, Akat, Lata, Akamodarium, Akat, Akoyam, Matayam, Akat, Irakawat, Lakmayala, Lagarishim, Hashem, Oshai, Wadama.
We say now in English is Yahweh, in the name of Yahushua. Please give us a power, power to heal, one man of sickness, one man of disease, power to cleanse the leper, power to raise the dead, power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahushua. Thank you. So be it.
We're going to say, bless Israel, Yahweh, Hashem, Oshai, Rakano, Abaya, Akarium, Barak, Rafa, Agun, Bashem, Oshai, Wadaman.
In English, we just said is Lord, in the name of Yahushua, bless us, and Israel, and the school, bless, heal, shield, protect, loved ones, in the name of Yahushua.
Thank you. So be it. We're going to say Psalms 121, Ashaya, Ayanya, Al-Hayyam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'a, Isaiah, Ayam, Yahweh, Asha, Shamayam, Warataza, Ayatan, Lamawat, Lagalka, Ayanawam, Shamarka, Ana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yashan, Shawama, Yashala, Yahweh, Shamalka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Idiyai, Shamyanka, Yamuwam, Ashamash, La'a, Yakarka, Wayarak, Bayala, Yahweh, Yashamalka, Makalrai, Yashama, Nashapaka, Yahweh, Yashama, Tezalka, Wawaka, Maita, Waid, Iwalam.
In the English. My eyes.
I lift up my eyes
to the hills.
Unto the hills.
From whence cometh my help?
My
Help
help
coming from the Lord. Which
Which
made heaven and earth. You will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in. This time forth, and even forevermore.
We will start see Psalm 83. Al-Hayom, Al-Demayalaka, Al-Tashakwas, wa Al-Tashakab, Al-Kaya, Ana, Awaboka, Yahamam, Yawan, Raish, Aimaka, Yamawa, Sawada, Wayata, Atazawa, Tazawanka, Amawa, Lakawa, Wanakadam, Magawa, Wala'a, Yazaka, Shamashala, Iwada, Kaya. Now Atazawa, Laba, Yakadwa, Ayaka, Bariat, Yakaratazwa, Ekoatwa, Alhaya, Al-Dawam, Washamai, Al-Hayam, Mawagaba, Wahagariam, Kabal, Wa'ay Mawan, Wa'ay Malak, Pashalat, Am Yashabia, Tazawa, Gamashawa, Lanawat, Aimam, Hayawa, Zarawai, Lapan, Ya Lawat, Salat, Aisha, Laham, Kamadian, Kasaya, Sarah, Kamadian, Banakal, Koyaswan, Nasha, Madwa, Bayan, Nadaira, Hayawa, Daman, Adama, Sha, Ya, Tawo, Shayatamo, Nada, Ya, Mawa, Kaira, Wakazazal, Manai, Kal Nasa, Ya Kamwa, Asha, Amarwa, Nayawash, Lanawa, At, Nawat, Alhayam, Allahaya, Amuwo,
Shayatamo,
Sayatamo, Gangala, Takwash,
Aquash,
Lapanya,
Lapanya,
Rawaka,
Rawaka,
Kaish,
Arash,
Karash, Tabiana, Tabiara, Wakala, Habaya,
Wakala Haba,
Talahat,
Alahat,
Arayam,
Arayam,
Kantaradama,
Kantaradapma,
Basaraika,
Basaraika,
Wabosa,
Abasa,
Wapatka, Tabahat, Halam,
Tabahala,
Mala'a,
Mala'a,
Panyaham,
Panyaham,
Walawan,
Walawan,
Waya,
Waya,
Babashwa,
Wapashwa,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahawa,
Yahawa,
Yabashwa,
Wapashwa,
Waya, Bahalwa,
Waya Bahalo,
Idiyai,
Ayai,
Waya, Kapawa, Waya, Adabwa,
Adamo,
Waya, Daiwa,
Waya Daiwa,
Kayata,
Ayata,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahawa,
Yahawa,
Nabadka,
Badka,
Aliyawan,
Aliyawan,
Al Kalha Aratiza.
Agaha, Aratiza. But you know, saying in English is keep not thy silent, O God.
Keep not silent, O
I
God.
hold not thy peace.
I will not thy
And
peace.
be not still, O God.
Be not still, O God.
For lo,
thy
enemies make it tomorrow.
enemies make it too much.
And they that hate thee,
And they that
have
hate
lifted up the head.
have lifted up
They
their
have
head.
taken crafty
They
counsel
have taken crafty
against
counsel
thy people,
against thy
and
people.
consulted
And consulted
against thy hidden ones.
against thy hidden
They have
ones.
said,
They have said,
come and let us cut them
come
off
and let cut them off
from being a nation.
from being a
In the
nation.
name of Israel,
In the name of
there
Israel.
be no more remembrance.
There be no more
For
remembrance.
they have consulted together.
They consulted together.
One consent.
They one
They
consent.
are confederate against thee.
They conferred
The
against the
tabernacles of Edom,
tabernacles of
and Ishmaelites,
and Ishmael,
of Moab,
of Moab,
and the Hagarenes,
and the Hagarenes,
Baal,
Baal,
and Ammon,
and Ammon,
Amalek,
and Amalek,
and the Philistines,
and the Philistines,
the inhabitants of Tyre,
the inhabitants of
Assur,
Tyre, Assur,
is also joined with
they
them.
also joined with them.
They have heard
They have followed
children of Lot,
children of Lot,
Selah,
Selah,
do unto them,
one to them,
as unto the
and
Midianites,
unto the Midianites,
as to Sisera,
as to Sisera,
as to
as
Jabin,
to Jabin,
the brook of
and the
Kison,
brook of
which
Kizon,
perished at
and
Endor.
the Endo.
They came as dung for the earth.
Yeah, don't put it.
Made their nobles,
Make their nobles
like Oreb,
like Oreb,
and like Zeb,
like Zeb,
yea, all their princes,
all the princes,
as Zebah,
Azabah,
and Zalmunna,
Azaluna,
who said,
who said,
let us take to
let us
ourselves
take to
the
ourselves
houses of God
houses of
in
God,
possession.
in possession.
Oh my God,
Oh my God,
make them like a wheel,
make them like a
and
wheel,
stubble before the wind,
and stubble before the
as the
wind,
fire burneth in wood,
and the fire burning
as the
wood,
flame set in the mountains on fire.
flames set the mountain on fire.
So persecute them
So persecute
with thy
them
tempest,
with thy tempest,
make them afraid
make them
with
afraid
thy storm,
with thy storm,
fill their faces
fill their
with
faces
shame,
with shame,
that they may seek thy
may
name.
they seek thy name.
O Lord,
O Lord,
let them be confounded
let be
and
confounded
troubled forever.
and troubled forever.
Yea, let them be put to
Let
shame
be put to
and
shame
perish,
and perish,
that men may know
that men may know
that
that thou,
whose name alone is Yahweh,
alone is
are the
Jehovah,
most high
are the most high
over all the earth.
over all the earth.
So, the Shabbat, which means to be seated. Today we will continue reading in the book of Leviticus. Book of Leviticus, chapter 13. And we'll start back at verse 3. And we'll begin by reading the Hebrew first, and then in the English. book of Leviticus chapter 13 and verse 3. Wa'ara hakahan atha hanagai ba'aiwo habasha washara salakia washaira banagai hapak laban wama ahan salakia wama aha hanagai ay makwa maaiwo basharwa salaki basharo nagaai tazaraaitha awaa wara aran salakia wara ahawa hakahan watama wa athawa verse 4 wa amma baharath labana awa ba'aiwa basharo wa aimakwa ayan maraha man ha'aiwo wa sha'ira la'a hapak laban wa hasa gayar akahan atta anagai shaba'aitha yamyam verse 5 wara ahawa akahan baya wam ashabaya aya wahan anagai aimada badayana yawa la'a pasha asha anagai ba'aiwo wahasa gayarwa hakahan basha'aitha yamyam shanayah verse 6 wa'ara hakahan atawa bayawam hashabaya shanayah wahan kaha anagai wala'a pasha anagai ba'aiwo wata harawa akahan masapaltaka hawa'a wakabas gabadyaw bagat salakia bagadayaw watara with 7 wa'am wa'ama pasha ta pasha amasa pakath ba'aiwo hakaraya ara'a tawa Allah akahan lataha rathawa wanara'a shanayah Allah, Akahan, verse 8. Wara'a, Akahan, Wahanna, Pashata, Pashaf, Amasa, Pakaf, Ba'aiwo, Watamawa, Akahan, Tazara Aitha, Hawa'a, verse 9. Naga'ai, Tazara'ai, Ta, Kaya, Tahaya, Ba'adam, Wahawab, Allah, Akahan. That's the first 7.
Leviticus chapter 13.
Yeah, verse 3.
And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh, and when the hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in the sight be deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is a plague of leprosy. And the priest shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. Verse 4. If the bright spots be white in the skin of his flesh, and in the sight be not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then the priest shall shut up him that had the plague 7 days. Verse 5. And the priest shall look on him the 7th day, and behold, if the plague in his sight be at a stay, and the plague spread not in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days more. Verse 6. And the priest shall look on him again on the 7th day, and behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him, it is but a scab, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. Verse 7. But if the scab spread much more abroad in the skin, after that he had been seen of the priest for his cleansing, he shall be seen of the priest again. Verse 8. And if the priest see that, behold, the scab spreadeth in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is leprosy. Verse 9. When the plague of leprosy is in a man, then he shall be brought unto the priest. Verse 10.
Verse 9. Muslim Christ, you've seen once here again that, for all those who look at the Bible as something skeptic, you understand, we've seen clear and plain that these scriptures, the Most High Power gave the nation of Israel something special that no other nation had. We had the ability to understand a lot, especially in science, and as the world knows it now, the world know about quarantine and how to do it. We were doing quarantines since back in biblical times, where if a man had something in his skin or some kind of condition, you not staying among the people. You go and park up somewhere in some zone, you understand, in some house where you're making sure they give you 7 days or 14 days, make sure you're in there. You understand? If the issue looking like it clearing up, that we talk about if it look on your skin, if it looking dark. Because when they get an injury, right, on your skin, right, your skin, the way it heals, the skin tends to get dark and peel off. Now you ain't gonna see that on a white person. On a black person especially, you see how the skin starts to get dark or darker, a scab, and that scab would fall off. Come back as normal as it would usually be. But if you're seeing that it's not coming that way, then you realize, no, this is something more than just, some cut this man get. And then we know now this is something that is contagious. So you have to stay away from the congregation from spreading this disease. So I don't know if you want to add anything.
And that's all right. We see again now when the priest are the Mosai and thing, right? They're holding on arm. A lot of things like when you watch them back there, there's counselors for the the Mosai, when you check back on the face side, it's more or less like the Mosai doctor, like the doctors, like hands and all, and the hands and all to tell you whether, you know, this is the healing process. This is again, you know, right, we say come back again to the, being the police and all to tell you again, hey, this way here right now, you can't go amongst them people and right. We see again, so when you check back again, being a priest of the Mosai is no joke and all, and then after when you check back again, now this man, then you watch back, hey, I'm a leprosy man coming here now, so you know, like it's like, you know, like somebody now coming again and same of it is like certain quarantine now again at the procedure that to be more careful than some of the normal duties they are custom going and all too. So them and all again now being teaching on knowing that when these situations come now, they know how to go about it with the persons and all too. So again now I give all the priests and the prophets and the Most High praises for all the job they was doing even from before and even up to now and all, because there's no joke doing the Most High work, right?
Yeah, man, Most High Christ. That's some real valid points to bring up in terms of the seriousness, you know, of the office of a priest, and it's not something to be taken lightly. It's not something to play. It's not something to joke about. And this is a serious work you're doing for the nation of Israel. You understand? It's not something to play with. So it's not something that you could just have fun and games, right? Because the time of fun and games in the I.S.U.P.K and the command in Gen.YAHANNA. We have serious people, serious men about the work of the Most High. So we have no time to play games. That's why the world will play games with men's lives and family lives and the lives of our people. You understand? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. All right, so we just continue reading. The book of Leviticus, chapter 13 and verse 10. Wara'a, Kahan, Wahanna, Sha'atha, Labana, Ba'aiwo, Wahaya'a, Ha-Paka, Sha'ira, Laban, Wamakayath, Basha, Kaya, Basha'atha, was 11. Tazara'aitha, Salakia, Nathan, Salakia, Nawasha Nathan, Hawa'a, Ba'aiwo, Basharawa, Watamawa, Akahan, La'a, Yasaga Ranawa, Kaya, Tama, Hawa'a, verse 12, Wa'ama, Parawak, Thaparach, Tazara'aitha, Ba'aiwo, Wakasatha, Hataza'ira Aitha, Ata, Ka, Iwo, Anaga'ai, Mara'aishawa, Ma'aishara, Wa'aida, Ragalayawa, Lakal, Mara'aiha, Ayanaya, Hakahan, verse 13, Wara'a, Hakahan, Wanaha, Kasa, Hataza'aitha, Atha, Laka, Basharawa, Wataha, Atha, Hanaga'ai, Kalawa, Hapak, Laban, Tahawo, Hawa'a, verse 14, Wabawam, Hara'awath, Bawa, Basha, Kaya, Yatama, verse 15, Wara'a, Hakahan, Atha, Habasha, Hakaya, Watama, Awa, Habasha, Hakaya, Tama'a, Hawa'a, Tazara'aita, Hawa'a, verse 16. Awa, Kaya, Yashawab, Habasha, Hakaya, Wanaha, La Laba, Waba, Waba'a, Allah, Hakahan. Right, that's it.
Leviticus chapter 13 and verse 10. And the priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising be white in the skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising, verse 11, it is an old leprosy of the skin of his flesh, and he shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. Verse 12, and if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that had the plague, from his head to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh. Verse 13, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that had the plague. It is all turned white, he is clean. Verse 14, but when raw flesh appear in him, he shall be unclean. Verse 15, and the priest shall see the raw flesh and pronounce him to be unclean, for the raw flesh is unclean, it is a leprosy. Verse 16, or if the raw flesh turn again and be changed into white, he shall come unto the priest.
Yes, chapter 16. Yeah. Christ again. So again, it's showing you the different methods or different ways to detect if this is something that is leprosy or if it's not. As you know, leprosy is something that affects persons or primarily or dark skin. It's very much more noticeable, right? So the leprosy would be the areas that is affected with the leprosy becomes white, right? You lose the pigmentation, right, in your skin, right? So let's say persons who have, a good example would be some persons who are so-called albinos, right? Or some persons have, patches of lack of melanin in their skin. So you see dark spots, light spots, patches all over the skin, right? But in this case, the leprosy scab, almost as if you have a kind of burn kind of finish, right? So once the priest observes this person's skin and look at the formation, look to see how deep, or when I say if the raw flesh is showing that it made the scab, and you know that scab, like when you peel off a scab from a burn or something, you have that raw flesh showing, and letting you know that don't come along this man, he looking like trouble. So this is where the priest will observe this individual and then either pronounce him clean or unclean based on the observation and the information given from Moses to Moses from the Most High in terms of knowing if this person is clean or they could come around, or if they are unclean and they should be quarantined away from theirs. So I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, and then I have right. You say when they go and check back this now, so the Most High, when they check back the priest and them now, right? So the priest now watching the back and see the thing you see in right? You watching your hand here, you see right? Now you quarantine and thing, right? But it's just to show and want to say now when you watch back and thing, you see when the priest say if it white and thing now, I start in a spread and thing now, say that person and thing, right? So they go and check back now. Again, now when coming back to the white man now, when you check back now, so when you see yourself now, when you see this now, like, hey, wait now, that's now if like
if this thing continue now, I go be a white man. I go be a white man instead of things say no, I see, but wait now, but you know what? Tell like most like you know, you go to the peace. Let this thing heal, because when you check back yourself now, you realizing something. This is not your skin. This is something that's totally wrong with your skin, and I just to show I know too. When we Hispanics and them and we Hispanics and we Native Indians and Negroes, just to show you that they know what we should always be intermarrying with ourselves and not with that, not these are not with the not with the white man and thing. When you go and watch them and thing and you go and lie down and thing, right? When you go on, when a black man go and lie down with the black sister and thing, right? I see that thing right, it matching with you, it matching with your skin complexion, right? But when now you go on when you go and sit down with a white person now, right? You sisters who go with a white man, right? And you men and them who go with white sisters and you go and lie down and thing, right? And say how you know you're actually seeing exactly what the leprosy they're talking about in the scriptures here. So when you check back out, white man is a full out leprosy. His body complexion is right. And then you see, you know, so when you think back again, this is when now we have to now stay within we black Hispanics and Native Indians, sisters and brothers and things and follow the laws of the Most High, you know, because again that what the white man is a full out leprosy you see in there, right? I think.
So we will continue reading in the book of Exodus, chapter 13 and verse 17. Wara ahawa akahan wahana na hapach hanagaai lalaban wataha hakahan ata hanagaai tahawo hawa'a, verse 18. Wabasha kaya yaha bawa ba'ai rawa shakayan wanara pa'a, verse 19. Wahaya mabakwa wam hashaka yan sha'ata laban awa slakia baharath laban adama damath wanara salakia wanara aha Allah hakahan, verse 20. Wara'aha akahan wahana ma'ara shapal mana ha'aiwo washa'ira hapak laban watama'awa akahan naga'ai tazara'aitha hawa'a bashaka yana paraka, verse 21. Wa'ama yara'an akahan wahana ayan baha sha'ira laban washapalaha ayananaha ma'man ha'aiwo wahaya kaha wahasa gaya rawa hakahan shaba'aitha yam, verse 22. Wa'ama pasha tapasha ba'aiwo watama hakahan atawa naga'ai hawa'a, verse 23. Wa'ama the Ka, the Yaha, the Imad, Habarath, La'a, Pashatha, Tazarabath, Ashakayan, Awa'a, Wataharawa, Hakahan. That's it.
Leviticus.
That's 117.
Leviticus chapter 13 and verse 17. And the priest shall see him, and behold, if the plague be turned into white, then the priest shall pronounce him clean. That had the plague, he is clean. Verse 18. The flesh also in which even the skin thereof was a boil, and is healing. Verse 19. And in the place of the boil there be a white rising, or a bright spot, white and somewhat reddish, and it be shown to the priest. Verse 20. And if when the priest seeth it, behold, it be in the side lower than the skin, and the hair thereof be turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil. Verse 21. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hair therein, and if it be not lower than the skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. Verse 22. And if it spread much more abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague. Verse 23. But if the bright spot stay in his place and spread not, it is a burning boil, and the priest shall pronounce him clean.
Alright, I'm saying Christ again because again this is so much more when you look at it of how the Most High gave us the ability to understand the science of the human body and give that specifically to the nation of Israel. So those who know a little bit of science, in your skin there's about 3 layers. I think it's called the dermis, the epidermis, and I forget the name of the last portion, right, where you go down to the actual part of your flesh, right? So the dermis, right, I think it's the dermis, epidermis. So there's a thin layer of cells. That's the uppermost part of your skin, right? This is where sometimes you will see your skin flaking off, right? So you have that top part. Then you have the epidermis, where it's just below that layer, right? So the skin cells push up and keep on replacing itself from below the flesh of your skin. So in the scriptures, it's showing you that if the priest and them see that it goes deeper than this layer here, right, which is the first layer, and it goes down to the second layer, right, then you realize that this is something more than just a top part, or what we call a scab. You understand? So this is more than just, you have an injury. Like for instance, when we get a cut, we would call that a white man, because why? You would see the whiteness of your flesh, right? When that top layer of your skin is removed, right? So once the area of that whiteness looks deeper than that, then they know, all right, this is not just a normal skin condition. This is where they will make the decision now to quarantine you, because even the hair follicle, the hairs on your skin on that also start to become white. That is when you know that the leprosy is set into the flesh, not just the top part. Right? I don't know if you're anything with that.
That's common. It's okay. That's my right. We say, as you say, no, you don't realize that something up as right. We say was no explaining, like all the different partners can either right. And if the ear come up now, so that means like it coming up like the ear shoot now, you don't realize with now. And that's simple as the right. We say, I think say no right with now, but with now. I hear this part here and this part here, the two different things I come up now with your phone. Don't really coming from through the inside here.
From deep inside.
Just can.
That's right. That's right. All right, so we will continue the reading. All right, in the book of Leviticus, chapter 13 and 24, verse 24. Awa, Bashar, Kaya, Yahaya, Ba'irawa, Makawath, Asha, Salakia, Ash, Wahayath, Makayath, Awaka, Waha, Baharath, Labana, Adamath, Awa, Ban. Verse 25. Wara'a, Ataha, Hakahan, Wahana, Nahapaka, Sha'ira, Laban, Babaharath, Wa Mara'a, Imakwa, Man, Ha'aiwo, Tazara'aitha, Hawa'a, Bamakawa, Paraka, Watama, Athawa, Hakahan, Nagai, Tazara'aitha, Hawa'a. Verse 26. Wakam, Yara'anaha, Hakahan, Wahana, Ayan, Babaharath, Sha'ira, Laban, Washapal, Ayanaina, Mana, Ha'aiwo, Wahawa, Kaha, Wahasa Gaya Rawa, Hakahan, Shaba'aitha, Yam, Wara Hawa, Hakahan, Bayawam, Ashabayaya, Amma, Pasha, Tapash, Ba'aiwo, Ma, Hakahan, Atawa, Nagai, Tazara'aita, Hawa'a. Verse 28. Wa'ama, Kataya, Ta'aimada, Habaharath, La'a, Pashata, Ba'aiwo, Wahawa, Kaha, Sha'atha, Hamakawa, Hawa'a, Watahawa, Salakia, Harawa, Hakahan, Kaya, Tazarabath, Hamakawa, Hawa'a. Verse 29. Wa'ayash, Awa, Asha, Kaya, Yahayaha, Bawa, Nagai, Baaraya, Awa, Bazakwan, Vistiti, Waraaha, Akahan, Ata, Anagai, Awa, Wahana, Maara, Hawa, Aimakwa, Man, Hawa, Ha'aiwo, Ha'aiwo, Wabawa, Sha'ira, Tazaba, Dakwa, Watama, Atawa, Akahan, Natakwa, Hawa'a, Tazara'aita, Hara'asha, Awa, Hazakwan, Hawa'a. I think that's, yeah.
Leviticus chapter 13 and verse 24. Or if there be any flesh in the skin whereof there is a hot burning, and the quick flesh that burneth have a white bright spot, somewhat reddish or white. Verse 25. Then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the hair in the bright spot be turned white, and it be in the side deeper than the skin, it is leprosy broken out of the burning. Wherefore the priest shall pronounce unclean. It is the plague of leprosy. Verse 26. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hair in the bright spot, and it be no lower than the other skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. Verse 27. And the priest shall look upon him 7 days, and if it be spread much more abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is the plague of leprosy. Verse 28. And if the bright spot stay in his place, and spread not in the skin, but if it be somewhat dark, it is a rising of the burning, and the priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is an inflammation of the burning. Verse 29. If a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the bed, verse 30, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be the side deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry skull, even leprosy upon the head or bed.
All right, so we're seeing, even when you read that last part there, so all who thinking was having nice blonde hair is nice, that hair is what we call blonde hair. You understand? So all them, our oppressors now who make us feel that our hair, our natural hair is not what it is. It's showing you plain hair, that so-called yellow hair, you understand? Is the same thing as having so-called blonde hair. But blonde hair really kind of yellowish. You understand? Like the color the color scheme that they're using. So if your hair and your head had that kind of color, that's leprosy. So we off the bat we don't see what going on here already. And how you could see how our oppressor with something that was an abomination to us to have. You understand? All of a sudden now that is something that our women especially going behind, because why, you want to be like the oppressor. You understand? And that is something that is against the Most High. We are not to follow the ways of the heathen. That is not our culture. And there are certain things that are part of it that is not supposed to be part of our culture, having blonde hair and one kind of thing. Now, in the aspect of color itself, the color itself not bad, right? Gold, green, whatever color. If you're wearing a wig, you wear a wig, you can do that. But we have to understand that this is something that is bigger. And when you go into the science of it, that is where you understand that whole pigmentation, that isn't even down in the root of the hair, where the pigment comes up, even that is corrupted. So you let you know when you see these things, this is what's going on, right? And it's talking about also when you look at the skin, or I should say when you say the burning of the skin, right? I don't understand when you look at your skin, you have a picture in your mind that let's say you get burned with a hot iron, and that top layer of skin peels off. That particular area is being white, right? It's fleshy, right? When this top layer is burned off, I think they call it a third-degree burn, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think it's a first degree, second degree, and third degree burns, right? That's talking about the different layers of your skin, the 3 layers that the burn penetrates. So a first degree burn, I believe it's the top layer. Second degree is when you go into the dermis, the epidermis, and I think the epithelial of epithelial, I think it's the third part of the skin. That is where the flesh is, like where your veins and the muscle tissue and stuff are, right? So when you go into that part, so it's really showing you how when this area is showing or is burnt or looks like if it's burnt and it looks like it's deeper than the top part of your flesh, you have to get monitored. So you're going in quarantine for 7 days, and the priest go watch you and monitor you, are you at a distance. If they realize that the area that looking burn, spreading, then we know, right, you are to stay outside the camp. You are leprosy. You understand? You have to touch you with a stick, push you far away, right, until you're able to recover from your leprosy. But if when you look at it, the areas that they get back dark, come back like your ordinary skin. So white people do get dark. You understand? They get light or lighter, right? So if you come back like your ordinary skin and start to get back dark, then only realize this is not leprosy. This is just probably a regular burn or some cut or something else that happened to your skin, right? And interestingly enough, just to go as a sidebar, right? Burn in the Hebrew is ash, right? So when we hear something burn and they have one, we call it ashes, or something burned to ash. Ash is the Hebrew word for burn or for fire, right? So even in the common English, we see where the Hebrew, you understand, is how the English uses the Hebrew to create the language. And a lot of English words is Hebrew, a lot, or a derivative of the Hebrew, right? So ash is fire or burning in the Hebrew, right? So I just wanted to throw that there as well. So I don't know if you want to add anything else.
Yeah, and right, that's what I was saying when you were bringing out what we sisters and them more or less following sisters and we brothers now following we oppressors and things. So when coming back to this now, right, we see and thing, right? So you check back we oppressors and them here and things. So when you check some of we oppressors, they're like the white man, some of them they are black here, but some of them they naturally they're here and blonde, they are blonde here and thing, right? And now for we sisters and them again, now you pick up that now you're already picking up a style somebody being sick and all too, right? And you're reaching a stage, so like I say again, when you check back in when you go back in like receiving in your skin now, so some of them again, part of your black people born in with this skin complex here color, right, and condition and thing like that. Well, you're doing again, hey, out that one thing I already say, I'm gonna go and dye my hair, I'm gonna go and dye my hair blonde, right? So if you know like hey, when you check out some of the people, hey, it's like that green, you might see black people here or black, they say they kind of showing up and they want to go on and say for some reason, hey, dye here if you want to think, I don't want to show up all the green. at least go black. But when you fall out going blonde, and then you naturally know that you're naturally going against your own ethnic group and thing and going against thing and following your oppressor. Same thing when coming back to when we come about bleaching and all to again to the same thing happening here again too. So some of we sisters and brothers, they don't even like the skin complexion, the mosaic give them and all to, and try to say they're thinking that there's something that's simple and all to, really and truly you have a problem with your own people, yourself and all to. So they comment they make your skin get lighter and things because you don't, for one, you don't like yourself and all too. You don't like how the mosaic creates you and things too. And then after now you want to find yourself that you want to go look lighter. Anytime you find yourself want to go lighter than your skin complexion, they're showing you that again, or they're showing you how the problem with leprosy, or actually trying to make leprosy and you, because when you go back and all too and your skin now get back now from it started work against all the chemicals and things now you see my weight now. But that person looking you can actually see when somebody go and bleach yourself, just like how the priest and I will identify somebody in leprosy and thing, and they see the different complexion with the skin and all to this. You can like that's going to give yourself leprosy and so, and when you check back yourself, you can actually see, you can always know when somebody go and bleach yourself, or you got right. Especially when the priest and them watch, you can actually say, hey, nah, but this person have leprosy. Or at least I'm going to check it out to really see if it's a burn, as Officer Yakad was really saying. So they're saying, no, in your right spirit, if it really off bleaching. Because now again, if it was to say that they're bleaching one thing, now you might have to be going under quarantine. That's still know that, hey, let me see if this was a burn, and that's what exactly we're doing. When you're bleaching yourself, it's really burning, you're really burning yourself and all too. Burning your skin, all kind of thing, and after they say it started way off now, this is now the skin start back to get back dark again. And the way people doing it, keep on bleaching yourself. So the same thing now, if this was something I think that they be going on that quarantine, that's to show that hey, you had to bleach, you had to bleaching alone. The same thing we had to hey, when you come into diary here and all to the same thing, that is not that no time we black people here coming with them colors and all to these is I say again, it's all these things got plague and sickness, and then after again we have a problem with we want to love the oppressor so much that you leaving out your whole ethnic group, your whole way how you black people look, you black Hispanics and Native Indians, and having a hate for your own brothers and sisters and all, because you're reaching to doing all these things because they really hate your brother and sister and all too, right? And hate yourself.
Yeah, usually that was usually happen where because of the oppression, and they so want to fit into to join with yourself. You would do yourself that. You understand? And that's showing that lack of confidence. You understand? Or not just lack of confidence, but that self-hate. Because you do not want to be, you also want to be like the oppressor, and that you hate yourself. And that is something that is very prevalent in Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian cities. Alright, so you continue the reading in the book of Leviticus chapter 13 and verse 31. Waqiya Yara'a Hakahan Ata Naga'ai Hanatakwa Wahana Ayan Mara'a Hawa Aimakwa Man Ha'aiwo Washa'aira Shakara Shaka Ayan Bawa Wahasa Gaya Hakahan Ata Naga'ai Hanata Kwa Shaba'aitha Yam. Verse 32. Wara'a Hakahan Ata Hanaga'ai Bayawam Hashaba Ya'aya Hawahan La'a Pasha Hanatakwa Wala'a Hayaha Bawa Sha'ira Tazahab Wama Ra'a Hanatakwa Ayan Aimakwa Mana Ha'aiwo, verse 33. Wahata Galaka Wahatha Hana Takwa La'a Yagalak Wahasa Gara Gayara Hakahan Ata Hanakwa Hanatakwa Shaba'aitha Yam Shanayath, verse 34. Wara'aha Hakahan Ata Hanatakwa Bayawam Hasha Baya'aitha Salakia Hashabaya'ai Ya Wahana La'a Hasha Hanatakwa Ba'aiwo Wamara Ahawa Ayanayawa Aimakwa Man Hawa Aiwo Wataha Atawa Hakahan Wakasab Salakia Wakabas Bagadayawa Wataha, verse 35. Wa'ama Pasha Yapash Hanatahwa Ba'aiwo Akarayo Taharathwa, verse 36. Wara'a Hawa Hakahan Wahana Pasha Hanatakwa Ba'ai Wara La'a Yabakwa Hakahan Lashara'ai Ra Hatazahab Tama'a Hawa'a, verse 37. Wa'ama Ba'ai Yana Yawa Aimada Hanatakwa Washa'ira Shaka Tazamaka Bawa Narapa Hanatakwa Tahawo Hawa'a Wataha Rawa Hakahan. I think that's it.
Leviticus chapter 13 and verse 21. And if the priest look on the plague of the skull, and behold, it be not in the sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut up him that had the plague of the skull 7 days. Verse 32. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the plague, and behold, if the skull spread not, and there be in it yellow hair, and the skull be not in the sight deeper than the skin. Verse 33, he shall be shaven, but if the skull shall he not shave, and the priest shall shut up him that had the skull 7 days more. Verse 34, and in the 7th day the priest shall look on the skull, And behold, if the skull be not spread in the skin, nor be in the side deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. Verse 35. But if the skull spread much in the skin after his cleansing, verse 36, then the priest shall look on him, and behold, if the skull be spread in the skin, then the priest shall not seek for the yellow hair, he is unclean. Verse 37, but if the skull be in his sight at a stay, and that hair is black hair grown up therein, the skull is healed, he is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean.
Again, once more we see where, again, it's talking about quarantine measures. If it's looking funny, quarantine him for 7 days. If you look at it, it's looking different. If the man, if you would ask him if he want to shave his head to see, probably to get a better look. If he say he know he don't want to shave it, you get quarantined for the next 7 days to like 14 days, right? And they know within a particular time period, this thing, if it's a disease, it would spread. So this is why you're given the quarantine time. Just like COVID-19, they say within 14 days, you understand? Or if you have this disease, right, you should be, or start to show signs within a particular time period. If they suspect that you have this disease, then they will do the test, you do your swab test, whatever, and after you do your test, then they will tell you if you have it or not, or if you have particular symptoms. Now, if you don't have those symptoms, then well, you're clean, you don't have it. You understand? But if you have those symptoms, if you have this sign, then here what? You're unclean. So this is just straightforward. You know anything?
Yeah, that's showing you again too when you check back again too. So that's showing you how the nation of Israel was, more or less being righteous and keeping the Most High laws. Say that's showing you that they don't be there, just don't come and they shave we head and things. So showing you some form of sickness taking place here. So you're seeing it for yourself. So but because now they want to see how far this leprosy spreading here and spreading here now. And if not the person decide now, see then now they take another measure now how to go about it again to the same message. Seeing again now that we're not supposed to be following the other nations and things. And if we do reach that we are supposed to be clean shaven and think because we're going to scriptures and think we make bonus upon we head and thing I say that it had to be a reason why that was commented as now you see that the shaving or cutting off. Or cutting off of the hair now to a level now to see from your skull and things. So they see yourself that we are the nation of Israel always rock with keen all the different style in the hair and all kind of thing. Like same thing with the women and all too. So for that was to reach at this level to your skull and thing, meaning that something was really up there and it's because of some sickness and all too. So again, the other nation always keeping the Most High laws and thing right never not when we feel or when we feel to right.
Most High Christ will continue to read, right? In the book of Leviticus, chapter 13 and verse 38. Verse 38. Wa'ayash, Awa, Asha, Kaya, Yahaya, Ba'aiwo, Basharam, Baharath, Baharath, Labanath. Verse 39. Wara'a, Hakahan, Wana'a, Ba'aiwo, Basharam, Baharath, Kahawath, Labanath, Bahakwa, Hawa'a, Harak, Ba'aiwa, Tahawo, Hawa'a, verse 40. Wa'ayash, Kaya, Ra'awash, Salakia, Ra'ashawa, Koraka, Hawa'a, Tahawo, Hawa'a, verse 41. Wa'ama, Salakia, Wa'ama, Mapa'atha, Panyawa, Yamarat, Ra'ashawa, Gabaka, Hawa'a, Tahawo, Hawa'a, verse 42. Wakaya, Yahawa, Salakia, Yaha, Wakora, Kata, Awa, Bakat, Nagai, Laban, Adamadam, Tazara'aitha, Parakat, Hawa'a, Barakathawa, Awa, Bagakathawa, verse 43. Wara'a, Atawa, Hakahan, Wahanna, Sha'atha, Hanagai, Labana, Adamadamas, Bakwarakawa, Awa, Bagada, Salakia, Bakatawa, Kama, Aha, Tazara'aitha, Iwa, Basha, verse 44. Ayash, Rawa'ai, Hawa'a, Tama, Hawa'a, Tama, Yata, Nawa, Akahan, Bara'a, Shawa, Naga, Iwa. Is it? Yeah.
Leviticus chapter 13 and verse 38. If a man also or a woman have in the skin of their flesh bright spots, even white bright spots, verse 39, then the priest shall look, and behold, if the bright spots in the skin of their flesh be darkish white, it is a freckle spot that groweth in the skin, he is clean. Verse 40, and if the man whose hair is fallen off his head, he is bald, yet is he clean? Verse 41, and he that had his hair fallen off from the part of his head towards his face, he is forehead bald, yet is he clean? Verse 42, and if there be in the bald head or bald forehead it is a leprosy sprung up in his bald head or his bald forehead. Verse 43, then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the rising of the sore be white reddish in his bald head or in his bald forehead, as the leprosy appeareth in the skin of the flesh. Verse 44, he is a leprous man, he is unclean. The priest shall pronounce him utterly unclean. His plague is in his head.
So, yeah, I think it's up to 44.
Right.
So I think once more, just giving you the signs and of these particular type of disease, because as you know, in biblical times, leprosy was very contagious, and not just you will have something on your skin. that type of leprosy always, most times, left you very deformed, because you start to deform your fingers and your feet and your toes, and it left you looking like a monster, right? When that leprosy took you, because it was something that was, it showed like a sign that, you know, that it was rejected, because you couldn't stay around your community, you couldn't stay around nobody. You had to be on your own, or go and live with other lepers. You understand? And it was something that, you know, you being ostracized away from the Most High and away from your community. It was almost like a sign of punishment from the Most High when they get this kind of leprosy, right? And, you know, just something I want to point out is that, you know, when you look at it from verse 38 says, if a man also or a woman have in the skin of their flesh bright spots, even white bright spots. Now, if you're a so-called white man, how much more, how you see the white bright spots in your skin? You understand? So you see, this whole issue of, you know, the Jews being white and all this kind of antics, they cannot be the people who are there right now. You understand? And we go down even more, right? And instead of talking about, you know, looking at the, you know, the different conditions, verse 39 says, then the priest shall look, and behold, if the bright spots in the skin of their flesh be darkish white. You understand? Now, when you look at the explanation, you'll understand why they say if it's darkish white. Remember, we are already brown skin. And if you get these little stuff on your face, you get to understand what it is. So if it's darkish white, they say it is a freckle. You understand? Spot that groweth in the skin, he is clean. So, and if anybody know someone who has freckles, you will get to understand how those little spots, they're kind of whitish, darkish, not really white, but almost kind of creamish kind of way because of your pigment of your skin. You understand? So we call those what freckles all over your skin. Some persons who are a little more lighter, it tends to show up differently because it's like little moles on your skin, right? And I was just going to talk about men who have who try to go naturally bald, right? Now we are not supposed to shave if you have a good set of hair on your head and you have your hairline and everything. You're not supposed to shave your hairline. You're not supposed to take a mark, as we would say, or shave your hair bald. And what I mean shave bald is you're not supposed to take like a razor and scrape your head, right? That way you call a shiny bald head. You understand? There's a bald head that is natural, where your hair naturally fall off, and you have nothing. You have a smooth hourglass, a balloon shape, smooth glass head. When you put a grease on it, you see a reflection, right? You have it naturally. But if you have your good set of hair and you scrape your head like that, that is unlawful. You're not supposed to do that. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that. No sentence. So we'll continue reading again in the book of Leviticus chapter 13 and verse 45. Well, verse 45 is Waha Tazara Wa'ai Asha Bawa Hanaga'ai Bagadayawa Yahayawa Paramayam Wara'a Shawa Yaha Parawa'ai Aila Shapam Ya'aita Watama Tama'a Yakwara'a. Verse 46, Cow Yamya Asha Hanaga'ai Bawa Yatama'a Tama'a Awa'a Badada Ya Shabbat Makawataza Lama Khana Mawa Shabawa, verse 47. Wahabagada, Kaya, Yaha, Bawa, Nagai, Tazara'aita, Babagada, Tazama, Awa, Babagada, Bashatayam, verse 48. Awa, Bashataya, Awa, Ba'ira, La Pashataya, Walatazama, Awa, Ba'aiwo, Awa, Bakal, Mala Akaf, Iwo, verse 49. Wahaya, Hanagai, Yara'a Kora, Awa, Adamdam, Salakia, Adam, Dama, Babagad, Awa, Ba'aiwo, Awa, Bashataya, Awa, Ba'ira, Awa, Baka, Kaliya, Iwo, Nagai, Tazara'aitha, Hawa'ara, Atha, Hakahan. Verse 50. Wara'a, Hakahan, Atha, Hanagai, Wahasa, Garaya, Wahasa, Giyara, Atha, Hanagai, Shaba'aitha, Yam. Verse 51. Wara'a, Atha, Hanagai, Bayawam, Hashaba, Ya'aya, Kaya, Pasha, Hanagai, Babagade, Awa, Bashataya, Awa, Ba'ira, Awa, Ba'aiwo, Lakal, Asha, Ya'aisha, Ha'aiwo, Lamala'a, Tazara'aita, Mamarath, Hanaga, Tama, Awa'a. And that's it. Yeah.
Leviticus chapter 13 and verse 45. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent, and the head bare, and he shall put a covering upon his upper lip, and shall cry, Unclean, unclean. Verse 46. All the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled. He is unclean. He shall dwell alone without the camp. Shall his habitation be. Verse 47. The garment also that the plague of the leprosy is in, whether it be a woolen garment or a linen garment. Verse 48. Whether it be in the warp of wool, or linen, or woolen, whether in a skin, or in anything made of skin. Verse 49. And if the plague be greenish or reddish in the garment, or in the skin, either the warp, or in the woof, or in anything of the skin, it is a plague of leprosy, and it shall be shown unto the priest. Verse 50. And the priest shall look upon the plague and shut up it that had the plague 7 days. Verse 51. And it shall look on the plague on the 7th day. If the plague be spread in the garments, either in the warp, or in the woof, or in the skin, or in any work that is made of the skin, the plague is a threatened leprosy. It is unclean.
So this really giving you an idea that when at the point where they realize that this man you're sure this man had this leprosy, you understand? It also giving you a quarantine measure for that man. So that man is to be, be left right out the camp. And verse 45 says, and the leper in whom the plague is, right, his clothes shall be rent, and his head bare, and he shall put a covering upon his upper lip, and shall cry, unclean, unclean. So wherever this man is, you have to make sure and cover yourself, make sure you close rip. You understand? So it just showing you, it letting you know that when somebody look at this man, they must know he unclean. And not only that, if anybody coming around him, he must say he unclean. You understand? So it's not that he wouldn't mix up with the general, but if for some reason, somebody probably might be unknown and coming close to him, he had to let them know, hey, I unclean. And he had to cover him out. You want no spit and no bowlers. He said, we wearing masks now. You understand? For the same reason, corona. They say they when you catch corona, say you have to wear a mask. Because your saliva, and when you speak to somebody, all of them could be contagious. Your saliva can hit somebody that could have the pathogen or whatever contaminant in it, and you could catch it. You understand? So all these is what? Quarantine measures being put out. And even have quarantine measures, to further in verse 46 says, all the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled, he is unclean, he shall dwell alone without the camp, shall be his habitation be. So whether you have family or not, you can't stick around. They say you are alone at the door, because why? If you go and live with people, they will get contaminated too. And then the whole city get leprosy. And that wouldn't help nobody. So you either go and live by yourself until that disease either disappear, or you live until you die. Until that disease is no more, and that is it. And then if you look further, they say verse 47 said the garment also that the leprosy, so that the plague of leprosy is in, whether it be a woolen garment or a linen, right? It's when giving you all different types of material that this so-called leprosy in. Now this leprosy might be the exact same leprosy, but it's something that is attacking this garment or this skin or this thing what this person had on. So they're looking at this thing here now to see what kind of changes happening to this garment. And when they look at it, if they see, it's a change and it's very specific, right? Verse 49 says, and if the plague be greenish or reddish in the garment, or in the skin, or in the wap, or in the wolf, or anything of skin, it is a plague of leprosy. So when they say greenish, they know this is some kind of greenish reddish. This is like some type of kind of mold. You understand? I just assume with this in this context. But usually, if something spreading in some kind of garment or some clothes, some kind of skin, is usually those type of I should say parasitic type of fungus or some kind of something like that, right? That is spreading towards us, right? So this is just in this context. So I get confirmation on this, but that's just an assumption in relation to this, right? So that's in verse 49, right? But it possibly something of that nature, right? But I'll get some more on that, and I can be able to expound on it in the next class in terms of exactly what this greenish or reddish plague in the garment actually was. All right, so I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I want to check back all this on out to I say, see again how dangerous leprosy is, and then I play see again how dangerous the plague of the plague of the Mosai is. So when you check back again, they check back all diseases and all sicknesses and all plagues. So it come from the Mosai and thing, right? So that's a show sometime, you know, in my mind, right? You know, like, you know, you always hear anybody I.S.U.P.K telling you to keep the Mosai laws, statutes, and commandments and thing, right? But in your mind now, it's like, you don't want to go and kill somebody, right? You don't want to go and sleep with another man, wife, but then, so that way you might tell, but you know what, in your mind, hey, you know, if you eat pork, crab, shrimp, lobster, and thing, right? And you could go and celebrate Christmas. Your mind tell you more or less, hey, I'm going to go and follow these commandments, and I'm going to not follow these commandments and thing, right? And thing, and breaking the Mosai commandments and thing, but in your mind tell you, hey, some of these things and thing are not supposed to be doing it, right? But again, now with the prophets and them, you know that again now that you have to keep all the Mosai laws, statutes, and commandments and thing, not where you feel to keep and which one you feel to break and thing, right? So all the commandments is to keep it and break it, because again now you don't want to end up in this situation here now that when you're reading Israelite, we say now if somebody coming around here, Dr. Your card was saying that you have to tell yourself, hey, clean and thing, right? And thing, right? So that's you know, people coming around here and that real shame and thing, right? You know that you had this sickness upon you and thing, I had to be telling people and thing, and that just goes to show when the Mosai say pray who could take away, pray who could destroy both body and soul and thing, right? Because this is a good example now, the Mosai again now destroying your soul forever. This is what they call hell and thing, right? And again, you don't want to be in this situation and thing, right? So again, we come back to the law, statutes, and commandments and thing, because I see again when you're reading through this whole thing about leprosy and thing, is no joke and thing, right? Cutting you off from your family, your close family yourself. Then after again, you're from and as the neighbors around, and then after your nation itself, you're getting cut off and things too. So there's not a joke keeping the Mosai law, statutes, and commandments, because that's right. We see how we see now leprosy now you have to be staying away. The same thing when somebody get some of these sickness and thing out here again and you have no protection on the Mosai. The same thing you will be by yourself and again now all the good laughs and all these things like when I'm cut off, you have to deal with it for yourself and thing, right? Where we keep the Mosai laws, statutes, commandments as the I.S.U.P.K say the laws and them end done away with, right? So yeah, I.S.U.P.K out there to teach you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians and things that you know who is and thing, right? You are the nation of Israel. You are the 12 laws tribes of the nation of Israel, right?
That's
And we should be keeping the laws, not what we feel want to keep, not the laws. And come and know the laws and all because they might be doing something, wrong and thing, right? And it's really it's something right you do that you're doing self know that you're alone. And then after again now you're doing something right, you're thinking you're doing something right and it's something wrong you're doing and you're low. And all too. So this is where we come in and teach the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, hey, you have to keep the Mosai laws and things too, because again, the Christian church telling you again that the laws and them more or less done away with, and the laws and is not done away with and all too. So these is all even laws here now about the leprosy and all too, right? And how to go about it and all too. The same way just like all the other laws and them too, right? All the quarantine measures and thing, right? All the checking in and all these things and them, right? So come to the I.S.U.P.K and you see now again now when you go back and all too again that you know even by you getting sick and all too, you still have to go to the priest and them too and all too. So again, now that's about the priest gain laws and all kind of things to the priest and the priest does a lot of different jobs under the Mosai and all too. The counselors, the doctor's hand. When they tell about the doctor's hands and all too, the same one thing you do eat no pork, crab, shrimp, lobsters and things. So you do have to go through these things now to reach by the actual doctors itself to go and do surgery to see if you can save your life and things like these counselors to tell you, hey, go and sleep with another man's wife and other things to save your life from either you getting sick from picking up some other disease or the man on that vengeance killing you and all too. So staying away from the Mosai priests and things, you're putting your life in jeopardy and all too. I say see the Mosai priests out here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, this one here. TikTok and thing right here, and thing tune into the I.S.U.P.K and learn your culture, learn your history, learn your laws, know who you is as the nation of Israel and thing right. And most important, we are God chosen people and thing right.
That's right.
More important than anything else on the face of the earth, right? And being to the Most High is being closer to anything created again from what the anything that's watch out everything that's running in the water, you see how the sea was and everything. So this is the man created everything and thing, and what we God chosen people. So we is the man we is the closest thing to it. You know what? We so far away from God, we're not keeping his laws, statutes, and judgments. And that's really sad, right?
That's right.
And that's why we should now come back to the Most High, right? So you Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we should be coming back to the Most High. And because this is what the Most High expects of us, to be keeping his laws, statutes, and judgment, being the trendsetter in the face of the face of the earth. We want to be saying, hey, but I see Israelite, but no happen. Nobody don't want to pick up a job of being an Israelite. So here now the I.S.U.P.K now out there every day on the streets and then you're out here on YouTube and all the different social medias now bringing that lower platforms and then bringing that to you. So no, to get you righteous and be the trendsetters of the nation, of the world. And thing I really want to like, hey, yeah, you see what them Israelites, whatever the Israelites and them do, you know it is the Most High. And what we are doing, you know it's not the Most High. This is the people the Most High set. So we is the trendsetters of the earth. You Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, right?
No sound question. And with that, we see at Magium. We're going to stay under the service. Sir?
Last shout out to Israel.
Yeah. Magium, when you go down from the right hand face east. Sir?
We're going to say Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabashemaya, Dash, Aya, Shamka, Yahweh, Lakwaka, Zaka, Aya, Aisha, Barat, Kawa, Aya, Shemaya, Tan, and the Walk, Kal, Yawam, Wasalakno, Wasalakno, Wakino, Wala, Abinawa, Sawan, Ball, Shino, Wayan, Right, Kaya, Akab, Alakwa, Ala, Tapara, Yomium, Man.
In English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, good, as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
We're going to say the Hakat, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Tananawa,
We see now in English. Yahweh, name of Yahushai, please give us a power to heal, all manner of sickness, all manner of disease, power to cleanse the leper, power to raise the dead, power to enter clean spirits, cast them out, name of Yahushai, thank you, so be it.
We're going to say, bless Israel, Yahweh, Hashem,
Hashem,
Oshai, Rabbanoah, SHALAM, Abayat, Pariam, Barak, Rapak, Agan, Hashem, Oshai, Walaman.
English, we said, Lord, in the name of Yahushua, bless us, and Israel, and the school, bless, heal, shield, protect, love one, in the name of Yahushua, thank you, so be it.
Psalm 121, Ashaya, Ayanya, Alhayam, Mayan, Yaba'a, Isaiah, Ayam, Yahweh, Ashaya, Shamayam, Wa'arataza, Ayatan, Namawat, Nagalka, Alyanawam, Shamarka, Ana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayashan, Shawama, Yasharala, Yahweh, Shamalka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Ayat, Shamnamka, Yamnamka, Yawawam, Ashamash, La'a, Yakaka, Wayarak, Bayala, Yahweh, Yashamalka, Makalrai, Yashama, Adnaspaka, Yahweh, Yashama, Tazalka, Wabawaka, Maita, Waid, Walam.
In the English, we just said, is I will lift up my eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is a shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth, and even forevermore.
I'm going to say Psalm 83. Alahayam, Almayalaka, Al-Tashakwat, Al-Kaya, Ana, Al-Wawaka, Yahamam, Yawan, Ra'ash, Amaka, Ayawamwa, Sawada, Wayata, Aitazawa, Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakadam, Magaria, Wala'a, Yazaka, Shamyashal, Aiwada, Ya, Nawaha, Tazawa, Naitazawa, Laba, Yakawada, Ayaka, Bariat, Yikawatwa, Alhaya, Ailawam, Washamai, Alhayam, Mawaba, Wahagariyam, Kabal, Mawan, Malak, Palashat, Amyashabia, Tazawa, Gamashawa, Lanawa, Imam, Ayawa, Zarawai, Lapanya Lawat, Salah,
Salah,
I.S.U.P.K,
Laham,
Kamadian, Asaya, Sarah, Kamadian, Banakal, Yashwan, Nasha, Mawa, Nasha Marwa, Bayan, Daira, Hayawa, Daman, La Yasha, Sayatamwa, Nada, Ya, Mawa, Kairab, Wakazaba, Wakazazal, Manai, Kal Nasa, Ya Kamwa, Asha, Amawa, Naya Rasha, Lanawa, At, Nawat, Alahayam, Lahaya, Yasha, Tamwa, Gangala, Kakwash, Lapanya, Rawaka, Kaish, Kaash, Tabaira, Ra'aira, Wakalahaba, Kalahat, Arayam, Kan, Karadapma, Basaraika, Wawasa, Upatka, Tabahalam, Mala'a, Panyaham, Walawan, Wayabaswa, Shamka, Yahawa, Yabaswa, Wayabalhawa, Ayai, Waya, Kapawa, Waya, Abadwa, Waya, Adaiwa, Kayata, Shamka, Yahawa, Badka, Ayawan, Alka, Aratiza.
In English, what we just said, is keep not silent to God.
Keep not silent to God.
And hold on thy peace. And be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make it to mouth. And they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off, from being a nation, and the name of Israel, and no more remember. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gebal, Ammon, and the Philistines, the inhabitants of Tyre, Assur is also joined with them. Therefore, for the children of blood, Salah, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, and the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth, made their nobles like Horeb, and like Zeb, yea, all their princes, as the Ba, and as Aluna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. Oh my God, make them like a weed, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, as the flames set in the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Lord. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the Most High over all you. Son? Men of Israel, let's give a courtesy salute. Imagine Shabbat, Imagine, Barak, Yahweh Hashem, your shine at the top. Jump attack, class dismissed.